Hi people, hope you're all well. So I've just read a report in the Times, which I think is worth discussing a little bit. This is from Monday, so get the date precise, Monday the 21st, from the London Times. Heroic Harry and Meghan honoured for taking stand. As always, I'll read a little bit of the report then, share my thoughts. The report's by James Beale, the social affairs editor. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex will receive a Human Rights Award for their heroic stand against structural racism in the monarchy, a member of the Kennedy family said yesterday. Prince Harry, 38, and Meghan, 41, are to be handed the Ripple of Hope Award on December the 6th at a ceremony for exemplary leaders with an unwavering commitment to social change. The New York Gala is organized by the Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Foundation, named after the former U.S. Attorney General who was assassinated in 1968. Today, coincidentally, is the 59th anniversary of his brother's assassination. It will be hosted by Kerry Kennedy, 63, the politician's daughter, who said the Sussexes would get the award for having the courage to take on the royal family's power structure. Kennedy, a lawyer and human rights activist, said they went to the oldest institution in UK history and told them what they were doing was wrong, that they couldn't have structural racism within the institution, that they could not maintain a misunderstanding about mental health, knew that if they did this, there would be consequences, that they would be ostracized, they would lose their family, their position within the structure, and that people would blame them for it. They've done it anyway because they believed they couldn't live with themselves if they didn't question this authority. I think they've been heroic in taking this step. Experts said that the award risks opening all wounds with the rest of the royal family following Harry and Meghan's comments on race during an interview with Oprah Winfrey. Ingrid Seward, editor-in-chief of Majesty magazine, said, "This is certainly not going to help relations. Wherever Harry and Meghan tread, they always seem to tread in trouble. They need to think about why they're receiving these awards and if they deserve it." And just, I'm not going to read out everything here just to condense the video, but basically, previous winners of the Ripple of Hope Award include President Biden, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton, as well as Hillary Clinton and Al Gore, Bono the U2 singer, and Desmond Tutu, the South African bishop. David uh, Nassau, I believe that's pronounced, the author and Kennedy family biographer, said honouring the Sussexes was somewhere between sublimely ridiculous and blatantly ludicrous. He added, "What in God's name have they done to merit this? What percentage of Harry and Meghan's wealth is going to worthy causes?" The award organisers said the couple were chosen because they had demonstrated a lifelong commitment to building strong and equitable communities. Hmm. So I've just checked out the page on Facebook, and I'm not the only one who's bothered by this. Quite a few people are remonstrating with this decision to award Harry and Meghan. There's a few things to break down there. Um, Harry and Meghan do engage in a number of worthwhile causes, as do all members of the royal family. I think what will be particularly galling to many Britons, particularly coming shortly after the death of the Queen, is these sort of smears about the royal family being racist are not being challenged. It's entirely one-sided. So this organization, the Robert F. Kennedy Foundation for Human Rights, let me just get that name right. Um, yeah, the Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Foundation. Um, an organization as prestigious as that really, really needs to fact check, and they need to make sure that what they're doing is evidence based. The only evidence they seem to have is Harry and Meghan's word for it. It would be like if a journalist was to make a libelous article because they hadn't done their homework. I, as a journalist, if I said so and so said this without double checking that they actually did, that would be libelous, and I could get into a lot of bother. It's not the first time the Kennedy family has waded into what could be perceived as an anti-British stance. I mean, going way back to Joseph Kennedy in the 30s, who was widely seen as anti-British. Um, it's kind of ironic because to many they're kind of America's royal family. I'm a little bit tired of left-wing Americans just blindly believing everything the Sussex has come out with. The fact of the matter is, to many people, and I suspect many people on the other side of the Atlantic as well, in the United States, basically see these two as entitled narcissists. Most recently, Meghan was saying that if a woman is independent, she's seen as difficult. No, Meghan, maybe it's because you are bloody difficult. Maybe it's because you're a narcissist. Maybe it's because you're incapable of ever admitting that you might be in the wrong. It's a very unattractive personality trait. Um, I'm not saying the royal family are perfect. I'm not saying there aren't grounds to criticise them on, but I do think the king is going to modernise this institution. I think what you see with every generation of British monarchy is an evolution. I mean, Elizabeth II did actually evolve in her very long reign. There were a lot of things that changed in her reign, and sometimes perhaps she was stubborn, but I think she was an outstanding monarch because she was a perfect constitutional monarch, and she did move with the times actually, um, more than people realise. But I just think the smear of racism is a very loaded charge. What is the basis for that? Supposedly, someone said, "I wonder what the baby will look like. Will the baby look like the father or the mother?" That seemed to be an entire basis for this very slanderous racism claim against the royal family, and by extension, really against the United Kingdom. I'm sick of left-wing Americans pushing this. I remember at the time of that notorious Oprah interview, the likes of Don Lemon on CNN and others were just lapping it up without question. That is a failure of journalism. Just blindly show one side without even questioning, well, there's two sides to every story. There's another side to this. Prince William, of course, was asked at the time, and he said, no, we're absolutely not racist. I just think it's outrageous that they're being smeared in this way. And for a prestigious human rights body like this, who carries the name of a great man, a great American like Robert F. Kennedy, a man I respect, I just think they've made a very big mistake. I mean, there are many people who deserve the award a lot more than Harry and Meghan. The fact of the matter is, they want to keep royal titles, but they don't want the responsibility of it. They've chosen to live in another country, yet they still demand all the, protections and so on that comes with other senior members of the royal family. Um, and it just seems to me to be a complete travesty of what this body is supposed to be about human rights. I mean, I can think of many people in the world that really are taking defiant steps. Just off the top of my head, the Iran football team yesterday in Qatar, they bravely refused to sing the national anthem as protest against the brutal actions of the Islamic regime. Now, they could maybe be honoured in absentia. They obviously wouldn't be able to attend in person, but they could be honoured. That took real courage because their families could very well face risks back home. What do an entitled prince and duchess, what risks do they face? Criticism? The Sussexes are surrounded by yes people, people who lap up every word they say. And frankly, a lot of people in Britain are wholly sick of them. They don't seem to care what damage they're doing to the royal family. I was watching The Crown yesterday, and it's not a documentary, but it featured that famous interview with Diana in 1995. That, somewhat like the Oprah interview, was quite inflammatory at the time, but now it's been revealed that Martin Bashir got it under dubious circumstances. He misled Diana. Um, Diana had her problems, but I don't think that Harry and Meghan can say the same things that Diana had, in terms of the loneliness and so on, aside from the fact they have each other. Meghan Markle is no introvert. This is a woman who was already in the public eye before she became a lot more famous as a member of the British royal family. But I am so sick of her narcissism. And my gut feeling is she is a narcissist. It's a very obnoxious quality. She's been accused herself of bullying. Does the Kennedy Foundation think that the Robert Kennedy Foundation think that someone accused of bullying is a worthy recipient of a human rights award? Denied it. Maybe it's not true. Maybe it is. I think it's quite plausible. I think she could be a very demanding individual, and there's a fine line between being demanding and being a bully. Um, but I think this is a very big mistake. I've told them so. I messaged them on their page, and it's just yet another piece of pandering to the Sussexes. Um, I think people are wholly fed up with them. Not most recently, recently, the Duchess of Sussex was saying that there's this fetishization and sexualization of Asian women in cinema. Oh, let's just ignore the fact that some East Asian actresses have been very successful. It's just the sort of woke hyperdrive that people are so fed up with. Um, yeah, I do not like the Sussexes. I used to respect Harry, not anymore. Um, like a lot of Britons, I was open-minded to Meghan Markle. I thought, yeah, this could be, to use that rather cheesy phrase, the Fab Four young royals, and this country really did welcome her for the most part. Sure, there would have been pockets of dissent, but she was welcomed. That's why this feels like a slap in the face. All she has done, all they have done, I should say, and Harry's just as bad. Let's not let him off the hook. All they have done is whine and complain despite their life of privilege. I think a lot of people find it rather galling. Um, on the point about Diana, incidentally, Diana was a remarkable woman, but I think we also have to be honest. Diana could be difficult at times herself. Diana could also enjoy the attention. Let's face it. I don't think she was a narcissist, not in the same way, but I do think there has been a little bit of a black and white depiction of the Diana Charles thing. I actually think The Crown, this latest series, it hasn't actually vilified Charles as was the fear. I think it's actually been quite fair, and I can understand why Tony Blair and John Major are criticising it, but I wonder have they actually seen it. I don't know. I think actually it just shows a troubled couple. It shows two people with very different ideas, but I don't think it has vilified Charles. In fact, it's showing his work with the Prince's Trust, among other things. It has absolutely shown his human side. And it showed the pressures he was under as well as the pressures Diana was under. But to be honest, to put it bluntly, this kind of pisses me off. The Robert Kennedy Human Rights Foundation awarding a human rights award to a pair of entitled narcissists doesn't make any sense. There's people that deserve it a lot more than them. I think they've made a serious mistake, and I hope they retract it before December the 6th. But this is part of a wider problem of left-wing Americans just lapping up everything that Sussex say. And I do think there's some anti-British prejudice involved. I think the Kennedy family has that. I think they always had it on some level. Um, Not necessarily President Kennedy, but certainly his father. Don't know so much about Robert Kennedy's views on Britain, but certainly Joseph Kennedy did, and apparently Kerry Kennedy does as well. I mean, why else would you want to have such a crude, lazy jibe at the British royal family when the only evidence she has is their word for it, and that ghastly Oprah interview?